The Sikha we're going to learn today is the Sikha Chelik Chaf Aleph, Sikha Gimel of Sikha Dalet, Sikha Gimel to Parshas Truma. And the Sikha is going to discuss the tziyur, the shape of the menorah, because the Parsha Truma talks about the kelim of the Mishkan, and one of them is the menorah. And the main focus is going to be on the diagram that the Rambam made of what the menorah looked like, a general diagram, not in detail, but a general diagram. This was found in a Geniza in Cairo. I don't know how long ago, 100 years ago. I don't know how long ago exactly. And they found the actual Ksaviat Kodesh of the Rambam. The paper, the manuscript of the Rambam's own hand, not only a copy, someone copied from his. We have a lot of Kisvayat from those years that someone copied from the original author. This is the Rambam's holy handwriting himself. And there he makes a diagram of what the menorah looked like. This is it. You see in the Sikha, at the end of the Sikha, this is the picture. And the Rebbe is going to discuss two pratim in this picture. One prat of the picture is that he made the govim. We know that the menorah had bechers, cups, as a design. And the cups, these are the cups and all the branches. And the way the cups are in the design of the Rambam, in the way the Rambam made it, is that it's upside down. And another thing, that the branches where the Rambam made the picture are not round, like many people make a picture of the menorah that these branches come out round, but they're straight up. It's in a straight line and diagonal. And this is the Sikha I'm going to talk about. So let's learn the Sikha inside. Then the tziyur from the Gavim from the menorah Zogn Chazal, concerning the design of the shape of the menorah, of the Gavim of the menorah, of the cups that was part of the design of the menorah. So Chazal tell us in Gemara Mnochas, in the Braise, Melechas Mishkan. So the Chazal say, Lemahen Damin, what was their shape like? What did they look like? In cases Alexandrian, like cups of Alexandria. They had a special type of cups that they used, and that was the shape of the cups of the Gavim and the menorah. Is the Rambam Mefarish of Pirush HaMishnai? So the Rambam in his Pirush HaMishnai explains, it means the cup was a cup that the bottom is narrow. The deck is small, the bottom is narrow. And as I pass in the Rambam Lalocha Sefer Hayad, that's how he passes also in the Rambam in Sefer Hayad, which is the Sefer of Halachas. He writes like this: Hagavim, then in the cases of Alexandria, that the Gavim, the bechers, the cups were similar to the cups of Alexandria, Shepi and Rocha v'Shaleim Kotzer. That their mouth means their top, the opening is wide, and the bottom is narrower. So in this we find a very strange thing. We have the picture of the menorah that the Rambam made with his holy handwriting, and in his Pirush HaMishnayis, and however 5 the Rebbe says that this picture of this manuscript of the Rambam is printed in Pirush HaMishnayis that Kapach gave out. When the Rebbe says in the Sikha, he put it in, so we should be able to have a more understanding of it. When dort is a Metzai the Gavim and Afakert Nathan, there he describes, he makes the picture that the Gavim is the opposite way. And Breiten Chelak HaGaviyah Piyam zum Unten von der Menorah, the wider part of the cup is towards the bottom of the menorah, and the Shmoln Teil Shaleim Eben, and the narrow part, which is the bottom of the cup, is on top. Das heißt, Atzir von einer übergekehrten Kosher Alexandria. And the picture is like an upside-down cup of Alexandria, which is strange. Why would it be upside down, as the Rebbe is going to ask? Even though the Rambam himself says, that by making the picture, he's only making the general, how it was. You should know how many Gavim there were there and where they were put. But he writes clearly, he didn't make the picture, so he should know exactly what it looked like. Was the far is there Messiah the Gavim and Atavnis Mishulish. That's why when he makes the pictures of the Gavim, he makes it like a triangle, that it comes to a point. Alexandria is Nitya Mishulish Mamish, even though for sure the cups in Alexandria was not coming to a point. It was narrower on the bottom, but it was straight. It didn't come to a point. It's simple. When you make the bottom of a cup, you don't make it pointy. Well, then it can them costing a wegstone, because then you can't put it down. The cup you have to put on the table, but you can't put it down with a point. And the Rebbe actually in the Order 8 brings that in Gemara Psochim, it says by the Kedem that they used to collect the blood from the Korban Pesach, it was in the bottom was pointy because they had to hold the blood for a little bit till they sprinkled it and it could gel up. So they made it, you shouldn't be able to put it down, so that you moved it and it didn't gel up. So we see from there a cup that has a point on the bottom, you can't stand up. So when the Rambam made the picture, he didn't mean they were exactly like that. He just wanted to say that they were narrower, shmol, they were narrow on the bottom, from the peak, compared to the opening to the top, it was narrower. So even though he made the picture with a point, but that's not what he meant. In other words, he's writing clearly, it's a general picture, but not exact. So l'chura, we could say the same thing also. When the Rambam makes a picture of the cups upside down, he didn't mean that's what it was. A general idea to show where the cups were and how many were there. But it's not a reason. If they just made it b'chlolos, you can't give this as a reason. That's why he made upside down. The bottom up and the up down. And in Yiddish, it's an expression. We can kopar up, with the face down. That's an expression. You put everything upside down. Why would you put everything upside down? What do you gain by that? When do you say you only write b'chlolos and you don't go into the details? He doesn't want to go into extra thing details. Here, we'll be just as well able to make it the other way. So why would B'dafke make it upside down? And other people learned that it was straight up. And the Rebbe in Order 9 brings that Al-Baq says, the bottom was the part that's connected to the branch of the Meneiros. According to the Rambam, there was a branch, and it went the other way. It was the top that's connected closer to the top of the branch, and on the branch was narrow. And they write the opposite. It was the other way. And in another svarim it says, but the purpose of the cup was that if you filled up the oil on top too much, it would pour over. So the cup was there to catch it. So it's only if the cup is up, not if the cup is upside down. So it would make more sense. So the Rambam was a daikem, he did everything exactly. Makes no sense at all. The Rambam that the Rambam should make the picture of the Gavia in opposite way, by Yeder Gavia, and everyone, 22 Mol, there are 22 Gaviyim here, and every time he made it upside down, and he didn't mean it. Why would he do it? It makes no sense. That's what the Rebbe, I think, it makes sense to say, Kipashas are simple. The Rambam made the cups in this way by Leidaites as a given, the Kvibim Nera. Because he held that that's like how it was. In the Order 10, the Rebbe goes into that. Someone might think from the way the Rabbi Avram, the son of the Rambam, writes, it means that he holds not like that. But the Rebbe explains that it's not a raya, but that he also holds, like we just said, that the Rambam, his father, holds actually that the cups are upside down. Now the question is, where did the Rambam get that from? And the Gemara doesn't say that. All it says they were similar to cups of Alexandria that was narrow, wide on top and narrow on the bottom. But where does it say that he turned it? It was turned around. So where did the Rambam get it? So the Rebbe says, or because that's how he heard from his Melamed, from his teacher, and his teacher heard from his teacher, and his teacher all the way back. There's taka not written anywhere, but it's a Kabbalah that they had. Or you find it in a medrash that we didn't get, because there were madrashim that the Rishonim had, and we didn't get it. Al derech when became Mr. Rambam and under the Rishonim, just like we find in other places in the Rambam, and also other Rishonim, in Yonim was a Yermokir is HaMedrash, that the source is in a Medrash that we don't have. We don't know where the Mokir is. But definitely the Rambam wouldn't make this up. So he had a Mokir. So whether it's he heard it from his Malamed and came back more generations, or he saw it in a place where we don't have that source, but the Rambam holds clearly that the Gaviyim were upside down. And bringt es nicht bei Sefer Hayad, but he doesn't bring it in his Sefer of Halachas, the regular Sefer Rambam. Why doesn't he bring it there? If Rambam held that's the way it was, why doesn't he bring it over there and make a picture? That's no kasha, because he doesn't bring other places where in Pirush HaMishnayos the Rambam makes pictures to these designs of what he wanted to say, and in the Sefer Hayad there are no such pictures. Since he doesn't bring the picture, so you can't know from the Rambam certain things that we see only from the picture. But that's the Seder of the Rambam. The Shleimer Kamer time is there. You could give a few reasons why the Rambam didn't make these pictures in his Sefer Yad HaChazok or Mishnah Torah. The Rebbe says there are a few reasons, and he only gives there's more, and he gives a few. Number one, in the Chatchila the Surim Nigiven is and Tachnas V'Sifrei Mishnah Torah. This to make pictures was not his plan. If when he wrote the Mishnah Torah, when he wrote the Rambam, he didn't plan to put this picture. It's not was part of his schedule, his system, so to speak. Second thing, Al Pei Yedua, the evil the Rambam is Mamai Betachlis bringing the Sifrei Zachen B'Chalan Nitma Furas B'Shasaka Yetz B'Zeh. Also, we know that the Rambam avoids writing new dinim. Certain dinim he learns out from what it says in the Gemara, but he doesn't bring it. Even though the Mefarshim say that according to the Lashon of the Rambam, we could see a diuk. Why doesn't the Rambam say that halacha clearly? So the Yad Malach places that they write the klolim of the Rambam. The Rambam did not write too often, very seldom. He did write new dinim that doesn't say in the Gemara. So therefore, since this is something that doesn't say in Shas, so the Rambam didn't bring it in halacha. And the third thing is, some of the details that we have in these pictures supposed to be that way, but it's not ma'akiv. Not ma'akiv means that if it's not like that, it's still kosher. Let's say, for example, in this case, we're talking about why doesn't he make a picture of how the Goviyim were, that they were upside down? Because it could be the Rambam holds that even though that's the way it's supposed to be, but since Al Pi Halacha, if it was the other way, it's also kosher. So he didn't, in the Sefer Halacha, he didn't write because it's kosher the other way. The 8 time or other reasons. Because of a episode could go more into this. This is not the place for going into these details, what the system of the Rambam was. But in the later versions of this Sikha, there was a Ha'ora added. The Rebbe added this Ha'ora. And we learn it's called Ha'ora 11 star. Ha'ora Lach Azman, that later on the Rebbe says, he wrote later a Ha'ora saying like this. Here the Rebbe explains that the Rambam did not write this in Sefer Hayat. And he's trying to find reasons why he didn't write, so he gave 3 reasons. Shuv nisparsim ksav yad the Sefer Hayad, but later on the Rebbe says after the Sikha was printed, later on he publicized a ksav yad, a handwritten manuscript, not the Rambam's own handwriting, but a manuscript from those days of the time, with the Rambam or a little later, that was a copy of what the Rambam wrote of the Sefer Hayad, and the Shom behilchas beis abchira peri gimel asof alocha yud, and there in the Rambam it says the Zui Tzarosa, after he describes something that this is the picture. The Yesh Tzir Amneira. And there, Take, in the Ksav Yad, which is of the Rambam, there's a picture of the B'neira. Kamei B'Pirish HaMashnais, the same picture as in Pirish HaMashnais. The Gam Shom HaGavim Tziyorim Piyam L'mata V'Shleim L'Oil. And also there, the way the Gavim are is that it's upside down. The bottom is higher and the top is lower. Like the Menera is written in the Pirish HaMashnais with the etzem original Ksav Yad of the Rambam. And also concerning that the branches went straight, diagonal but straight. In that picture, in the Sefer Yad is like that. In other words, it seems like the Rambam did put it in to his Sefer, but later on when they copied from what the Rambam wrote and made a Sefer out of it and printed it, they took out these pictures. So this whole thing that the Rebbe says in the Sikha, that a reason why the Rambam didn't write it there, that's if the Rambam didn't write it there. But according to this Kisv Yad, it's also written in the Sefer Hayat. And what is that? At this point, we're talking about why the Gevim are upside down. But he's saying that the Rambam holds that they were upside down. The Rebbe says, now, Hanal Farentfit is Mavayim Rambam. What we just said before explains why the Rambam made a picture that way. It's bleibt aber die Scheile, but the question remains, Halamai seine the Gevim von der Manera gekehrt mit dem Neben Narop. But why is it like? Why would it talk upside down? The Shaila was, why did the Rambam make that picture? So the answer is why? Because that's how he holds it was. Because he has his sources. But the question is, what's the reason for this din that the Rambam writes that it has to be upside down? We find by other cases that when you do something as part of the mitzvah, it has to be the seder, the way it grows, the moshel. By the walls of the Mishkan, they were made from kroshim, made from wood, cedar wood. So it says it says aimdim, that they had to be walls standing. And what does it teach you? 2 things. It teaches us, number 1, it has to be the tree the way it's standing. That's the way you put it up, because it could have been laying down. You could lay down one board, another board, and it'll end up a wall. So it has to be the way it grows, and even that you can't have upside down. It should be the way it grows, the bottom, and then it comes to the top. That's the way you should stand it. The bottom on down, and the top on top. Und der Fun lernt man noch a klar as kol mitzvahs kudem zodem jetzt beim Lagdik. From there we learn out that all the mitzvahs, your yitzvah, anything that grows has to be holding. You have to hold it the way it grows. L'moshel, the dalet minim, the esek, the lulav, you are yitzvah only if you hold it the way it grows, the way the esek grows and the way the lulav grows. But if you take it upside down, you're not yitzvah. So if it has to be the normal way, the way it regular is, why should the cups be here? It's not concept of growing. It doesn't grow. The cup doesn't grow. But why shouldn't it be the normal way? What's up, and what down, down? Just like over there, whatever is up has to be on top. Whatever is down has to be on top, on the bottom. This here should be too. Yes, Leimar, the Rabbi gets explained this as das. That sein moving like them was me gefind ben the close in the manera aninya welches main we do now. So the Rebbe will explain this based on when we understand something concerning the general manera. This is part of the manera. So if we understand what the purpose of the manera is, similar to this, we'll understand why here the cups on the manera were upside down. What is it? When it comes to the light of the manera, the Chazal, the Chachamim tell us, I don't need light. Normally, when you have a light in a room, is because the room needs light. During the day, if there are no windows, it's dark. At night, certainly, it's dark. So you need a lamp to light up the room. So you would think that the menorah is to light up the place where it was. It was in the heichal, to light up the heichal. So no, David just says, no, I don't need light. But why did I ask to put in the menorah that gives light? This is testimony to all the people of the world that the Shechina rests by Eden. The menorah, the light of the menorah was not to light up the place where you put it, which is in the Mishkan and the Mikdash. The contrary, the opposite. Dort is eine Tzorach leira. The Eibishter in the Mishkan, the Eibishter doesn't need this light. So what was it for? Nor it says, given an eidus l'chol boy elam shashchina sheira b'Yisrael. It was testimony for all the people who comers. The literal translation, boy elam, those came into the world. All the people of the world should know that the Shechina rests by Eden. So it's not for the purpose of where it was, the purpose to give light to the, and light means to the truth, to recognize the truth outside. And that's why when they made the windows of the Beis Hamikdash, it was the opposite of regular windows. When you have regular windows, the way it used to be to say that is, the window is a hole in the wall. The wall is very wide. So they would make the outside of the window was narrower, inside of the window was wider, because what you wanted was that the light from the outside should come into the inside. So the outside is narrow, and as it comes in, it spreads. But here, by the Beis Hamikdash, you didn't do that. No, shkufim v'chutz with opposite. That it was narrow inside and wider outside. Breiter in druisen, smaller in the wenig. Die Meforschen das Mavayer, and the Meforshim explain it as follows: a fenster where a regular window is built so a fenster is in the wenig breiter wie in druisen. That the opening of the window, it's inside wider than the outside. Die Lichtigkeit von druisen soll sich mispashek sein. It's dort von dem Cheder. So the light from the outside should spread in the sides of the room. So outside it's narrow, but it spreads and it goes to the whole room. The windows of Beis Hamikdash were opposite. It was narrower inside, and it got wider as it's going to the outside. So the light should go out from the heichal where the menorah was to light up the whole world. The tafkid for menorah is because the purpose of the menorah is to be testimony for the people of the world. So it's to light up. Testimony means to make them see the truth, to light up the outside. So the purpose of the menorah is not for itself. The purpose of the menorah is to light up the outside. Now, that's what the menorah is. The Rebbe says, so we explain concerning the cups, the same type of pshat. Why? Their b'chai is mavayer. Rabbeinu b'chai, I know some people pronounce it bachya, but I think the Rebbe used to say the word b'chai. The b'chai is mavayer, the meremes in the gevim for the menorah. He explains, what's the hint in the fact that the menorah had govim, had these cups, bechers. And he says like this: a gavia is a kele sheyesh al biskibul, v'mashkem rav. A gavia, a becher, a cup, is a vessel that has it's a receptacle, and it waters and it satisfies. It gives the water, brings the water to satisfy. Und das ist ein Remes of the Galgalim, mekablim keiches ol yenim, mashviim keich beil mashofel. Just like a cup, you fill it up, and from there you drink from it, and you fill up, you water whatever you want to water. Same thing here. This is a Remes, the Galgalim, the constellations or whatever. They get their keiches from above, so they receive, and they're mashpia, and they bring it down, mashpia the keich beil mashofel in this low world. So the union of the Gavim is showing the hashpoah that comes from above, from Lamailo, and to bring it down to be mashpia lamata. What the adgosh in them is the hashpoah me'elin lashofel. The point here is that it's mashpia from higher to lower. That's like mashke marave. It gives the drink, and it marave, it satisfies. So the whole union of the Gavim is to show how you'd have the kechas mamaila that come down lamata. Der Iker Tafke von Akos besteht nicht in seine Zeinak Lekibel. And he explains, this means like this. The purpose of a cup is not to be a receptacle. Not to have something, a kelet, to hold some liquid in it. Das ist der Tafke von Akos. That's the job of a jar, of a barrel. That's a storage place. So the whole purpose of it is store stuff in there. You will hold water, wine, etc., etc. Akos is a kelet, durch the mayim from the chovias. A cup is a vessel through which the water of a chul or any other liquid of the jar or their mayan or from, you take it from a well, on. That's how you get water from something, from the place where it's stored, and the person could drink from it. So the whole purpose of a cup is to give the drink, to be mashpia. Even though seemingly it's a kos is a makabel, a kos is a receptacle, but it's not for the purpose of receiving. You have places with purpose of storage, to hold. This is not the purpose to hold. Okay, you just pour. When you're ready to drink, you pour a cup and you drink it. So the idea of a cup is to be mashpia to a person. Kum to is at the beer anal from Bachai comes out like this. That what the Rabbeinu Bachai explains, that the union of the Gavim is to take the ashpoah from the Milo and the mashpia lamata down here is masim mit maimer azala now but close in your denominator. Fits to the general idea that we said before about the Benera. What did the Chazal say? I don't need light. So it's not for the purpose of where the light is for himself. Nor it's a testimony for all the other people in the world. The taftkit from the Eiram Neiri. So what did we say? That the purpose of the light of the Meneira is not in the man needs, not something that he needs. That would be kibble. Kibble means you receive. I need it, so I receive it. That's a jar. I need the water or whatever it is. I store it because I need to hold it. Nor to beleuchten die Welt bachutz, to light up the world outside. Beloshna bechai, like the Bechai says, to mashpia sein beila hashafel, to be mashpia in the low world. So the concept of the Meneira is to be mashpia. That's what it is. And the concept of the cup is also to be mashpia. Just like the Meneira is to mashpia in the world, the whole Meneira. So the detail of the Meneira, the cups are also, like the Rabbi Bechai says, to show the hashpoah that it gives to the world. The Gavim, the Meneira, and an nation from Pia Lamato, Shaleim Lamaila. So here the Rebbe says another word he's going to add now. Now he's going to explain not why it was upside down, but he's going to explain that. But he's saying there are two, basically comes out, there are two things that are done with the cup. There's the cup when you fill it, and then it's the cup when you turn it around and you're mashpia to somebody from that cup. So he says like this. There is a situation when the Gevim seine Zeitweile to leave them kibble. There's a situation when the cup is there to be makabel. There is such a thing. B'shas eimer kiddush alakos. When you say kiddush on the cup of wine, you say matzav. So then it's not for mashpia. Then their matzav is piyam l'mayla v'shalei l'mata. Then it's like a regular cup, the opening on top, and the bottom, the narrow part, is on the bottom. So then it could hold the cup. So that's the regular case of a govia. That's a matzah when you're, and there is such a thing. You yourself are makabel. There is such a thing as using the cup for a kibbutz. There is such a thing. But by the Meneira, the purpose was not for the kibbutz aspect. Even though in order to be mashpi, it has to be makabel first. So there is a level of being makabel, and then the cup stands straight. But that's when the whole purpose is to have it as a makabel. When you're making kiddush, you want it to be a makabel. You want to have the wine in it. But by the menorah, we said the purpose is the hashpoah, that is mashpia. Then their matzav zeire lehepech. Then the situation is the opposite. People are matzav v'shulav l'mayla. The mouth, the opening is under the bottom. The bottom is l'mayla. Mekert ibedem kos. You turn over, you turn around the cup. In order the vashka should go out from it. So when you come to be mashpia, then you have to turn it around. So there is a level the way it was before, and then there is the way when you pour it out, then you turn it around. We apply that to our thing. Since the light of the menorah is to light up the people of the world, from the Mikdash, which are lamata, the world is lamata. The Beis Hamikdash is called Hay Baruchnis, obviously. The Beis Hamikdash is on top. The world and the people in the world are lamata. And the whole purpose of the menorah is that to bring the light from the top, which is Beis Hamikdash, and bring the light into the bottom. The Chai says the Losh mashpiyim be'ela mashofel. The Gavim show you mashpiyim in the low world, which is the whole world, is the low world. The Ribber is matzav hagavim sheb'menorah piyim lamata v'shalayim l'maylo. Therefore, the situation of the beches, of the cups, the way they're on the menorah is the opposite. The opening is on the bottom, shleim l'maylo, and the bottom is on top. Why? Because then the hashpoah comes when you turn it around. That's the hashpoah. Just like the windows in the Beis Hamikdash were the opposite of the regular windows in the house, because there you needed the light to come from outside to inside, and this is the light coming from inside out. So the bechers too were, in a way, it's turned around when you're being mashpia to the outside. So that answered that question. The Rebbe adds here, based on this, you could explain Baveda Sa'odom, in the service of Ayitu Hashem, the Mremes Velimud of the Geviyim, seine Gewen Dafke Piem Roche V'Shaleim Kotzer. To explain why the Geviyim essentially was the top was wide and the bottom was narrow. So that the Rebbe is going to explain that, bring the closest general inyan of what this means, and then he will apply it here. So he's going to explain it like this. So I want to say that it's not so clear what the Rebbe says here. You got the Taich Shadois. So I'll read it inside and I'll try to explain it the way it seems to be. It explains it like this. Since the Gevim, as we said from the Rabbeinu Bechai, it is a remez, a hint, that it is mashpia to the outside, to lower, is moving at the fodder Schapiro. That's why we're talking about the Gevim, which is still a mashpia. But in order to be mashpia, you have to start off with a wide opening. The wide opening is when you're makabel. So the person who's going to be mashpia, let's say to somebody else, first has to be makabel. In order to be mashpia, you have to be makabel. So in order to be mashpia to somebody, which is the idea of the kaviyim here, so you have to have a wide opening. Why? When es kommt zum mashpia sein auf a zweiten Nieden, and it comes to be mashpia on somebody else, or the bechlolos yeser, more general, to get involved in the Aveda of making a dwelling place for Hashem in this low world, which is the menorah, which is the testimony for the whole world. So when you're involved in being mashpia and others, you have to do it by having in yourself the greatest width. Greatest width means something beyond limitations, very big. Higher than limitations. So therefore, in order to mashpia, and you have to use a lot of strong keiches, darf makabel sein, sich onemen mit de greste keiches. So then, in order to be mashpia to others, you have to mashpia, you have to mashpia with l'mayla medida bagbola. So you have to get that to yourself. So therefore, therefore, when the cup is there, in order to be mashpia, by later on turning around the cup and be mashpia, but till I do that, I have to have be makabel into myself to be able to have what to give. I have to be makabel the mailam dida bagbola. So therefore, the normal seder is the top, which is where you put it in as a makabel, which represents what you are makabel in order to be mashpia. You have to have a wide opening. You have to be makabel into yourself. Work about mailam dida bagbola so you can be able to be mashpia. And he said like this: that's only because you're going to be mashpia. Eibes retzich wegen sich allein, when you're talking about not being mashpia, about your own Aveda. There halt no gar betchilas Aveda could be a person which is just the beginning of Aveda. But there feel a spetter, but sein Aveda is meise sibishati and Aveda mekbelis. But it could be your beginning, or for every reason, it's not pligvul, but that's all about yourself. Is I matzah people maila. Then you have the people maila. See, the hashpoa part of it is hinted in the fact that it's turned around. So the gabi yourself, it's not turned around. When you're talking about yourself, your own Aveda. So in your own Aveda, and it's Aveda Mekbelis, is the people of Maila. You're not being mashpia. So you have an opening. So then it doesn't have to be Bligvul. So it's Lamaila. And the union of the Piv, which is Lamaila, that's the part that you're taking for yourself. So if you're not interested or you're not doing the Aveda, being mashpia to somebody else, so then the Piv is Lamaila. The Piv, as we said before, the opening is what you take. So if you're taking for yourself, then it stays that way, so to speak. The Piv is Lamaila, you take that, and you're not turning it around. And the Piv Lamaila, you're taking it into yourself. Aber wenn es kommt zu der Aveda von Tomer der zweiten Yiden, when it comes to the Aveda, working with another Yid, befragt zu der Aveda, für machen die Welt für Adil ist, but certainly when you're going to work with the world and make it for Adira, for Hashem, muss man wissen, Adom muss sein Lamaila Magbolis. Here you have to know when you're working with others, or you're working with the Welt, it has to be completely Mahayim Magbolis. Ver der Rochev, klapa makabel memenu hamata. So now the fact that it's wide, that becomes the matter, because you have to take that rachvos, that width that you have, which is Mayam Yakbola, and you have to give it to the person. So you're taking the rachvos, as I said before, and you're bringing it into yourself in order to give. If it's not in order to give, then you also take. But then it's not, it's in yourself. The Rebbe says here is people of Milo, and that's called Aveda Mekbelis. It's not so clear why is Aveda Mekbelis, because before he said that the Piv is Rochev to show Lamayla Magbola. So for yourself, you also have a Piv. So it's also a lot, but not as much as you are going to be mashpia to somebody else. So when you have the regular cup standing, that's a remez that your the previous rochev, it's wider, and you put it down, and that's how it stays. But if you're going to work with being mashpia lamato, then you have to turn out that rochev, that rachvos that you have, has to be lamato. You have to give it to the makabel. Al derech v'gereta mol baruch, like I spoke once before, wegen dem chilek zwischen the trumas hadonim, trumas hashkolim, and trumas hamishkan. You find three types of donations that Eden gave: for the adonim, for the sockets of the mishkan, and shkolim for the korbanos. And then trumas hamishkan, generally people gave whatever they could want to donate for the mishkan. So it came out like this: trumas adonim hashkolim is given by gerenis adavar mesuyim. When you had to give the money, the truma for the sockets, for the shkolim, it had to be a specific thing. It had to be kesef, silver, and machzis a shekel, half a shekel. Schenke trumas hamishkan, that is kedelig with alles sugi abriya. When you gave for the mishkan, you could give anything, all categories of the creation. Teimim, tzumeya, chonchai. Give things which are inanimate objects. You could give things which grow. You could give animals. And when you, the person who is donating it, you count him in too. You have medaber, you have a human being. So you had everything involved. So what's the difference? Why the Trumas Adonim and the Shkolim were limited? And the Truma of the Mishkan was unlimited everything. Why? Trumas Adonim and Shkolim, Hanochas Adonim, Ascholas, very different Ayidin. Because the Truma of the Adonim, when you put the Adonim on the bottom, that represents the beginning, the foundation, the first part of the Mishkan, the bottom of the Mishkan. That represents the beginning of Aveda Vayid. So Avedas Tmidim is Kesidram. And the shkolim which went for the korban tomit, that's a normal seder. That's not beyond limitation. That's a regular order. Aveda Musuderes, a regular seder. On Ebdik for Meidani, you start with a regular Aveda. So there, you had to go with a seder. Seder means there's something specific, and there's specific madregas, etc., etc. Mashenka Trumas HaMishkan, but the Truma of the Mishkan is Manamas of the Klolos Aveda from Lasas Leimigdash. Shchanti B'Seicham. That represents the general idea of making a mishkan for the Eibishter, a dir betachtenim. But in them zayin talking akbolas, there's no akbolas. In them tarum kol yon elam, that takes everything. So he's explaining this is similar to what we said before. When it comes to mashpia, so there is no limitations. So then you have to take the piv rochev, which is wide and wide without limitations. very big, and that has to be turned around and be given to that other person. If you're doing your own Aveda, whatever that is for you. And then, according to that, the Piv Rochev is not really Rochev without any Agbolas, because it's all only for yourself. Now, it's not clear how that fits to, before he says, like I said before, that Piv Rochev is because Per Rochev means only to Mashpia, and that means Blik Vul. And you're giving that what you're Makabel, Blik Vul, to give to somebody else. But for yourself, the Milo is not really Blik Vul. Exactly how that fits, you need to understand. But the bottom line is, what we see from here is this idea that the cups, which represent the giving, so that's why there's two things here. First, the top is wide, and that shows that in order to give, which is the remez of the Gaviyim by the Neiro, you have to stand first, have it stand as a makabel to get the highest thing in order to be able to give it to the makabel. Und das ist der Remes in dem, was dem, this is the hint with Afa Pias, Kola mitzvahs darf paton der los and darf. All mitzvahs you have to do, as we said before, in the normal way, it grows, or it's the way it is. Pias wird gebracht, like abgelernt von Lulav and Minav, like it's brought to the Lulav and the Minim of the Lulav, and from there we learn out. Afa Pekez and the Gavim Shabam Neira, Hepel der Agidolosa. The Gavim of the Meneira are the opposite of the way it's normal standing. And he explains based on what we said before why. Yeah, they're mitzvah, befrat lulav and minov, every mitzvah, especially lulav and minov, and bedugmas can't say their stalshas. Every mitzvah, especially lulav and the mintalit minim, represent the way the hashpoah comes from Maile in a normal seder mesuder. Darf azayim b'chlolos b'seder. So if it's a normal thing that comes down, you have to go with an order. Will be stalshalis, derek delos, and derek delos means from higher down has to stand that way. Whatever is low stays low. You come down from higher to lower. That's a normal Aveda by all the mitzvahs. When der Far is a Seder Akiyum for mitzvah in a Eifim Derech Gedosa. So that's when you do the mitzvah, you have to do it and hold it in a way Derech Gedosa, because that's the derech of what's higher is higher, then comes lower and lower. That's the way it stands. In the Gevim itself is the same thing, really. The way the Gevim are themselves, the bottom is narrow and the top is wide, because the top is higher. Because in Seder Shtalshel, the top is higher. But that's the Gevim themselves, in their own standing. When they become part of the Meneira, which is, and they're knocked out as one piece, and they become part of the Meneira. Was their inyan b'Meneira is mashke merav l'shofel, and their inyan part of the Meneira is to give to drink, is to saturate, is to give. Meir zayin b'chutz, to shine outside. He says farbunden mishana zayin tivir gelosa. Then you can't go to normal seder. Then in order for that, you have to change your nature, change your habit. You have to go out of yourself. The mele and the is based on that's why the windows were also the same way. That inside was narrow, outside wide, so their light should come out. And the Gevim, PM, Lamata, V'Shalem, Lamayla, and these bechers, these cups, where the opening was lower and the bottom was on top. Heper derek dosen, different opposite derek dosen. That's because if it's going to be mashpia lechutz, you have to go out of your normal seder. You have to go beyond seder. And then when you're mashpia, it's because you have the perochav that you took before, and you're taking that perochav, that white per, and giving it to the mata. That's called the ma'alim dit agbola. That's beyond agbola, because really the mata should be less, but we're taking the top and putting it to the bottom. That's the ma'alim agbola. And this is the reason why the cups were upside down, because the hashpoah has to be that the cup, first of all, upside down, because they're being mashpia. And in the hashpoah gufe, how was the hashpoah? That the wider side, you're mashpia the wider side down. And in order to mashpia down, you have to have the wider side given to them more than what you have for yourself if you're doing it only on your own. There's another detail in the picture that the Rambam made with his own handwriting, which is different than the common pictures of the Meneira that people make. As the Shisha Knei Meneira, that the 6 branches of the Meneira goes up in a straight diagonal. Not like the common pictures of the Meneira, as it sees that they go as a half of a bow, which means half a circle. So normally they make it goes like this. So the Meneira is a half a circle, it's round. Und nach Papias bin ich Demprat, wollte öfter bedeutet, hat die Gott gewinnt nur zu sagen. Concerning this, really, you might say, not so easy, but you might say, bedeutet, as the Rambam hat, as a Messiah, ben Hokel al-Atzir. The Rambam didn't mean that it was like that. To make it easier, like he said in Bechlolis, he made it like that. Steht aber befeirisch in Pirish Rabbi Avram ben Rambam. But it says clearly in the Pshat of Rabbi Rambam's son, Rabbi Avram, the son of the Rambam, Adishisha konim, nimshochi megufa shel Menorah mitzad reisho, that the 6 branches go from the Menorah itself, from the middle one, beyesher, straight. Like my father wrote, made the picture. Leib eagle, not around like other people made. Now, in Parshat Truma writes clearly on the Shisha Konim Balachsen im Shochim Beilam. They go in a straight line. It's a diagonal, straight line, diagonal. Kum tuis adi tziyurim adagirim shel. So comes out of the common pictures of the Menorahs, and nit with das Rashi, nit with the Rambam. So it doesn't fit not the Rashi, it doesn't fit the Rambam, because they both write that it was straight. The Baal Mishnas Chassidim, there's a sefer called Mishnas Chassidim. So this same person who wrote the Mishnas Chassidim is known by his sefer Mishnas Chassidim, has another sefer called Ma'aseh Cheshev. So in that sefer, Ma'aseh Cheshev, Al Malachas HaMishkan, which talks about the making of the Mishkan, Shraib the Pashtas, he writes clearly, it's very simple, Ad the Shisha Konim Zayin Given Nim Shochem Beagle, that the 6 branches came out in a circle. And there is Mavaya. And he says, as Afa Pias from Pirish Rashi is Muchach Hoyim Beagle. Even though he says clearly that from Rashi it's very clear that it was not round. The Rambam in his Sefer did not mention that it went in a diagonal straight. The Rambam says it goes up from the branch, it comes up. So he says, what does that mean, comes up? It means round. So he claims that the Rambam holds it was round. They brings what the Baal Chochmas HaMishkan schreibt, and he brings what this Sefer Chochmas HaMishkan writes, and from them is near that because the Rambam writes it just went up, shows that when they went up almost like a circle. Or the Ma'aseh Cheshev and the Ma'aseh Cheshev finishes off v'hochem mistaver, and that makes sense. The v'hochem demil the Galgal Erikia, then it's similar to the Galgalim. The Galgalim is the constellations, and the Galgalim that the Rambam talks about in heaven. The 7 candles are connected to Shiva Galgal. I mean, the Galgalim all round, so Mistamet was round. Which, by the way, the Rebbe in Order 40 says, what does he mean? The 7 natives are round like the 7 Galgalim are round. Was the middle one also round? The whole discussion here is whether there were 7, 1 in the middle straight, and then the other ones on the sides, 3 on this side, 3 on this side, whether it was up like this or was it like this, round. But the middle one certainly not. So how could you say that that's connected to 7 Galgalim? So they had 7 round natives. But that's a kasha, as a by the way kasha. So they write clearly that from the Rambam is mashma that it was round, and that's how it makes sense. But the Rebbe says, according to my understanding, since this Ma'aseh Cheshev writes clearly, that his foundation, his basis to learn that it was round, is because the Rambam didn't write anything, because the Rambam didn't mention in his sefer that it was a straight diagonal. Was the fun is nearer, so he says from that we see that it went up round. That's what makes sense. So the whole reason the Rambam, the Ma'aseh Cheshev says that he feels that it's right that the Rambam holds that it was round, not because the Rambam says it was round, because the Rambam says nothing. And since he says nothing, Mistamet was round. But he's aber noch in his Gal geworden, Guf Ksayat Kedesh Rambam B'tzir Amneira. But after we found the actual original Ksavyat Kedesh of the Rambam describing the Menorah, and even though in the Yad HaChazok it doesn't say, but the Rebbe here in the Orah says, but as we said before, that in other Kisvei they found that even in the Yad HaChazok, the Rambam also makes this picture and makes it straight in an angle, in a diagonal. And also, the Rambam's son testifies, the Rambam's father, his son writes, he stresses that this that we said it was straight is mit uis drittel chakavone. The Rambam intended that. Tafke azei ulebi, that's clearly he meant straight and not round. He's bottle yisod, the bottle binyan. So the foundation of the Ma'aseh Cheshev is based on that the Rambam doesn't write because obviously he didn't see the other things. But the Rama's son writes, and in the Rama himself, there's a picture from the Pirush HaMishnayos where it makes it straight. So then the whole foundation of him to say that according to the Rambam it was round falls off, because we do see the Rambam says writes it straight. The whole reason because Rambam didn't write anything. He does write it straight in Pirush HaMishnayos, and according to the new finding also in Yad, and the Rambam's son says that. So if the whole foundation is off, so the whole building is off. In other words, so the whole Yisod is off. In the order 41, the Rebbe writes something very interesting. I don't understand what his raya is, that because the midah sosim b'kol anar, what does he write? Since the Rambam didn't write anything, so comes out that it was probably round. Why? Why would we think that probably it was round? All it says in the Torah, he calls these branches kone. The word kone is written many places in Chumash, in Torah Shebiksav. And all over it means a straight line. Kone means really reeds that grow. They're called konim. They're straight. If the Rambam doesn't write anything and the Torah says kone, why would you say, oh, Mistama was round? I didn't find once that the word kone should not mean straight. So it's complete opposite. If you're judging it the way he judged it, because the Rambam doesn't write anything, so then we have to stick to the simple meaning of the word kone. Kone means straight. So it must have been straight. In a diagonal, but straight. So what does he mean when he says that because the Rambam didn't write, his ayat was round? That's one thing. But the Rabbi in the Pnim doesn't say that. It says in the order. In the Pnim he says that now we have the Ksav Yad of the Rambam and the Pirush HaMishnayos, and we have the Ben Rambam. So Mamela, that's clear, not like the Ma'aseh Chesh. I think clearly. I first begging his forgiveness when I say the opposite. I think as Eib der Ma'aseh Chesh v'Bal Chochmas HaMishkan, if these two Mechabrim wollten gesehen dem Tzir Rambam und dem Pirush von Rabbi Rambam and Rambam, if had they seen what the picture of the Rambam and the Pshat that the son wrote, wollten eich sei geschrieben, they would have also written as in the talking plukte bezeh that there's no argument. It's like this, they write that the Rambam argues. Rashi Taka says it was straight, the Rambam argues. They would have agreed that there's no argument. Everyone agrees that it was straight. Because a lot of times after you think something of one of the Rishonim and you find later like something that we didn't know about before, you change your mind. So he would have changed his mind. Just like in Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe writes, as harbe misvorim Rishonim zal leyotzele atfus adayim b'mei achreinim zal, that when certain achreinim said certain things, because many of the svarim of the Rishonim were not printed yet, and now that it's printed, you see that what they said was wrong. So you can't rely on what they wrote because they didn't see what really it is because that wasn't printed yet. But you find that it was printed, now you can't rely on what they write because basically had they seen it, they would have changed their mind too. So for sure here also that the Ma'aseh Chesh Bal Chochmas HaMishkan would have changed his mind had he seen. But now that we see the picture of the Rambam and we saw what Rabbi Avram ben Rambam writes, so we know for sure that the Rambam holds that it was not round. In Keinem Advorim, the Rebbe says, if it's true, is me'anochein, so it's proper, lachzer atoreliation, to bring back, it's an expression, bring that the crown to its way, old way. As the Allah will gemachen zuren von der Menere, all those that make pictures of the Menere, but they lernen, wie sie gewähnt der Uisen von der Menere, in order to be able to learn and see visually what the Menere looked like in the Mishkan at the Beis Hamikdash. So those people, they should change. Till now they made the pictures round. They should change it and make it straight, the diagonal. Kedas Rasha, like Rasha says in Pshuta Shel Mikro, and the Rambam, who says it in Halacha. What we said before comes out. No one even argues. Till now, it could be that the Ma'aseh Chesh argues, but now, we feel that he would have changed his mind also. So there's no argument. So for certainly that people who have the booklets with the pictures trying to show the Klei HaMishkan, so they show them later, you should make it straight. So to those educational institutions that have the stationery, and the stationery, they have a picture of the Menera. And they, the emblem or whatever they have of the Menera, they make it round. It's called like a half a bow, like a half a circle. Is the Baldem Torah from the Mitzir, Sedinen als Monik of the Menorah Shem Mishkan Mikdash. Why did they Bechal make pictures of the Menorah on their stationery? They want that this should remind the person of the Menorah of the Mishkan or the Mikdash. So if that's the purpose, it's Kedai B'Yeser. It's Kedai. It's worthwhile. Very worthwhile. As El Mashanas and Mitzir, we should change that picture, that emblem. Mitzayas and the Koni Balachsen, they should make the picture Balachsen that's straight in a diagonal. And here in order 43. He brings that there's another opinion, seemingly, which is not negate to the Sikha, that the Menorah, third opinion. Here we have two things we said. Or the Menorah, this Menorah was the one in the middle, and then you had branches. So the Rebbe says the branches went out like this, and the others who seemingly thought differently, the branches go out like this, like this. Then there's a third opinion, that it was like a leichter that we have a candelabra for Shabbos. That you have one in the middle was the middle, and then around it, like a circle. The other ones, there was one, and there was 6 around. That's a completely different opinion. And in another place, it seems that it was one in the middle, and then 6 were half. It's like you have a crown. Sometimes you have a crown that's around the whole head, and sometimes you have a crown that's just the front. So one opinion is that it was like a crown around the head. It was one in the middle, and around it was 6. Another opinion is that there was one in the middle, straight, and around it was like a half a crown. But that's not what we're talking about here. That's a different thing. And what we're talking here is, was it this way or was it this way? And the Rebbe proves that according to Rashi, according to the Rambam, it was this way, and therefore the Rebbe says you should change the pictures wherever you make. And then in order 44, the Rebbe says that therefore he says that when you make the Chanukah menorahs, you should also make it the Rebbe says it's Mokim Leimer. It says a place to say them as he would like that the menorahs for Chanukah, which is not a copy of the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. If it would be a copy of the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, you wouldn't allow to do it because you're not allowed to make a copy of the menorah. It's not a copy anyway, because in the Beis Hamikdash was 7 and the menorah of Chanukah is 8, so it's not no problem. But he says kedai to make it like this to remind us that the way it was in the Beis Hamikdash, it was straight balachs. Rabbi kommt zu noch an Inyan. Then the Rebbe says, in addition to this, concerning the branches of the menorah, there's another thing here. The tzir harogel from the menorah, the sheish takonim and v'chatzoi keshes, the common picture of the menorah, that it was round, that the branches were half a circle, is al pi ashor. It seems, the Rebbe says, not that we don't know clearly, but it seems it's a noch machung from the tzir menorah. It's a copy of the way the menorah was made, was shown, that non-Jews made that picture in Rome. And the Netzochen Arke, the Shara Netzochen, was the Arch of Titus, from Titus Yimach Shemai. And they've explained what it is. When Titus HaRosh had Chorov gemacht am Beis Hamikdash, when the Titus the Rosh destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, hat geheißen wegzunehmen, Klei Hamikdash, as they bring it to Rome, he said they should take the vessels of the Beis Hamikdash and bring it to Rome. And the Kved, in his honor, for the Rosh, but in Reim Gebuit Ashar Netzochen was struck sein Namen. They built an arch, and it's called an Arch of Netzochen, of victory, and it carries his name, Shar Titus, the Arch of Titus. And they made it as a reminder of the victory he had over Eretz Yisrael. If dem Sharet man Metzayir gewem and trug the Gefangene Klei Hamikdash, on this gate, on this arch, they have pictures of Yidden carrying, not Yidden, I mean, the Romans carrying the Kelim of the Beis Hamikdash, ubetechan the menorah, amongst it is also the menorah. And in them tzir from the menorah and the picture of the menorah of Shar Titus, the Sheish Hakonim v'chatzoi keshes. There, these branches are like this, are half a circles. That seemingly is the source of where everyone got that the picture of the menorah was this way. So the Rebbe says like this: the picture of the menorah on that gate and that Shar Titus is not meduik, it's not exact. You see it's clearly things there that doesn't fit to the menorah. For instance, the Rebbe in the order writes, there's no feet. We know by the menorah, it says in the Gemara that there were feet to the menorah. So obviously it's different. Then also there is on the menorah, there is there a picture like something like a Zora. For sure it's not meduyik. You don't just get geworden kemuven, but besides that you can't bring a raya from there because it's not meduyik. The whole thing there was made to show how Rome won over the Eden and controls the Eden. Wie saß mir dort, ich habe became also they carved so much so that they carved out on that shar in different places the Werter, the words Judaya Kafta, which means Yehuda, Eden in Gefangen. Jews were captured. In seine Gewährensmanim, there were times when Machriach sein Eden zu kommen zu dem Shar, that they would force Eden to come to this gate. Sie sollen sehen, was dort ist geschrieben und gezeichnet, to see what's written there and what's noted there. They to the niedrigen to lower the feelings of the Eden. That was the whole shot, and that's where the menorah is this way. From there we learn it. Kumtus comes out that the mitzayis and the knei menorah v'chatzoi keshes to make the menorah like half a circles. Besides the mitzvah of shartitus, like it is on shartitus. The farusruf na gewalt geschrei. It's supposed to bring out a screaming. Besides that, this is against Rashi and Rambam. So you should make a picture of what it's there rather than a picture the way that Rashi and Rambam writes. Besides that, this gives an agreement, a haskome, to the shartitus. Was is gemacht geworden zum gemacht, which is made to give Eden pain. It's made to make them lower, to lower the Eden. So that's what you're going to copy, rather than being copied with Rashi and Rambam writes. Tomorrow instead, was a tzir von der Menorah, that the Mon and the Menorah and Eden is ein Tafkid is to sein Leir Gelim. Instead of the picture of the Menorah is supposed to remind and awaken the Yid to realize his purpose in life, to be light to the nations. This is testimony to all the people of the world that the Shechinah is by the Eden. That's what the Menorah is for. So if you follow what it says on the Shar Titus, so the Menorah that you're making is made in such a way, it reminds you the complete opposite. Supposed to remind you that we're supposed to be the light to the Goyim. It reminds you of that Rome had victory over the Eden. God forbid. Mela the Rebbe says that's why that's not the right way to do it, and you should always try to happen. You should make the Menorah, the picture of the Menorah, that it's like Rashi says, which is not like in Shar Titus, but that the branches were straight. The Rebbe says it should be the will. That soon the real and complete redemption will come. We'll have the Menorah, push it physically, the Menorah, and completely in the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi, in the third Beis Hamikdash, everybody will see how the Menorah looks. And when we do, that'll happen. We'll have Moshe and Aaron with us. We will see with our physical eyes, like it says, our eyes will see how we will fulfill the commandment of the Eibush that daber Aaron, speak to Aaron, etc. When you light the Menorah, we will see how the Menorah is lit. And this should happen. Keep shute mamish. This will be push it simply the way it is. Keep shute mamish very, very small. And here again, I'm going to show again, like I showed in the beginning. This is the picture. And if you have in Sefer, look at the Sichos, you see this picture. And now when we look back at the picture, we see everything that we learned in the Sichos.